Let's talk a little bit about last week's game. Awfully disappointed in the second half. We didn't play a great first half. We played much better than we had in a couple of games that we played. There's a couple of our losses. We had a couple of good drives. We bent a little bit, didn't break on defense at some points. The entire game we played hard. The guys were focused. Played a good football team. Second half, totally different. We didn't play a great game on defense. We looked like we lost our intensity a little bit. Sometimes that happens when you can't stop. They mix a run and pass and they keep you off balance. And they've got two awfully good running backs and a running quarterback, which gave us problems. Offensively, we went back and looked at everything, and we talked about different formations and all that. We ran 31 different formations in the game. Not quite as many as the second half as we probably should have, because that gives you problems defensively. Looked like they honed in on us pretty good and settled in on what we were doing on offense the second half. We got to do a better job of mixing it up and doing things to make it tougher on the defense. But we got to make plays. Our players will tell you that we got to make plays. There were some plays there that we didn't take advantage of, and you got to do that. But you got to do it with the run and the pass. I didn't think we stuck with our blocks long enough the second half like we did the first half for our running backs. We didn't do near as much in the play action game as we did the first half. And Gunner obviously played better the first half than he did the second half. So there's a lot of variables there that you can look at. Bottom line is we just got to get better and play for 4 quarters, because you can't beat a team in one half. We're not good enough to score that many points. So we've got to get better, and we got to work on it today and getting ready for our next game. Military Appreciation Week. We're proud of our veterans and our military personnel across the country, and we're going to recognize them this week at our football game. So that it's always a big game for me, especially since my dad died in active service and was a military guy all his life. So looking forward to that. Playing a very good football team coming in that's had, 16, 17 days off. They'll be well rested. And we played BYU last year, and we know what we're getting. It's going to be a very physical game. They got their quarterback back. He got hurt before we played him last year. He's back for the 6th year. He's 26 years old. He's a big, tough kid. Not a kid. He's a grown man that can really play. He'll be the best quarterback that we see all year. He is very physical, and you can tell he loves playing, because he sat on the bench the last 2 years with a torn knee, and I think he's had 2 or 3 knee surgeries. So for defense, he'll be the #1 guy that we'll face. They've got the best running back that they've had in a long time. He was out last year when we played him. He's a 5th-year senior, and got a lot of yards, and very physical, runs inside and outside. And you can tell they've played very good competition all year long, and you can tell he pretty much needed a little bit of a break after the last game, because they've been riding him pretty hard. But as I said, they've had 2 weeks off to get him ready to go. So we'll have to prepare for the running game, and also they do a lot in the passing game. Ty Dittmer is their offensive coordinator, who was in high school last year. He's Heisman Trophy winner back in the early 1990, somewhere like that. And he is one of their own, and kind of they've gone back to the Lavelle Edwards type of offense, a little bit different than it was last year, but they play a lot of receivers, big, tall receivers that play very physical. They can throw it deep down the field. Their quarterback does an excellent job of reading coverages. And so defensively, we got our hands full. Offensively, last year, I think we led the game for going into the last 9 minutes of the 4th quarter. But we had a tough time blocking. It was one of those where, the quarterback had to get out of the pocket and throw some. Hayden was our starting quarterback last year. At that time, Gunner had been hurt. And so it was kind of one of those nip and tuck games. Tough place to play. The BYU, their fans were there. They were ready. I could tell that the 4th quarter, most teams that play out there in the 4th quarter, if it's a close game, it's hard to beat them out there because of the altitude. Our guys were sucking the bottom out of the oxygen bottle at the end of the game. But I was proud of our guys. They laid it on the line. We just weren't good enough at that time to win the game. Now their defense is very similar. They've got some big guys in the middle. They're very physical. They're not going to allow you to run the ball. They're going to try to force you, as most teams try to do, try to make you throw the ball, get you in long yardage situations. And so offensively, we have got to do a good job of trying to run the ball, run play action, do things that we need to do to mix it up. I mean, we've got to play well on first down. We can't get in long yardage situations. We did that last week against Temple. We got too many second longs, and it's hard for quarterbacks and offensive coordinators to call plays when you got a bunch of those type of situations. So should be a good game. Hopefully we've got a lot of people come out for Military Appreciation Day and give us home field advantage, because we're definitely going to need it. Should be a good game. Looking forward to it. We'll play much better. It's our second to last game at home, and you know, Gunnar will be our quarterback. I know people are going to ask that. You know, I've still got a lot of faith in him. He's a guy that you know, I think gives us a lot. You know, with his leadership quality, especially against a team like this, and looking forward to him putting the second half together with the first half that he had the last 2 weeks. Question?
You talked after the game the other day about maybe being less conservative and using 5 wide receivers more. Is that something you still intend to do?
Yeah, throwing it on first down more. Last week we got a little predictable as the game went on. You know, mixing in play action. You know, we had some things that we planned, and for reasons of, you know, what they were doing on defense, we changed it because, you know, those things wouldn't work. You know, they didn't change a lot. They did play a little bit more man coverage the second half, forced us to throw more accurate passes, especially when we got to second, third, and long. And so, you know, we'll continue to we game plan the defense on offense. You know, whatever they do on defense, you try to match your personnel. I think that's got to be we got to do a better job as a coaching staff of matching our personnel versus their personnel. I mean, you do a lot of that. You get your people in the right spots. You tell where they move people around and try to get your best matchups. Have we gotten our best matchups? Probably not. But on the coaching part of it, we got to do a better job of trying to get those better matchups so we can have a better chance to win, you know, routes, man coverage, busting zone coverage, and give your quarterback a chance to give it. You know, our offensive line was pretty good in pass rush last week. Now, we did collapse a little bit, but those guys on their ends were very good pass rushers. I thought Gunnar held his own in the pocket. The problem was, you know, when it closed down, he wasn't quite as accurate as he was probably in the first part of the game of throwing the ball down the field. So we need a little bit more of that. We need better pass protection more consistently. We only gave up 1 sack during the whole game, and they did bring 5 and 6 quite a bit. So our offensive line did their job, but we got to do a better job on the flip side of offensive line of running the ball. We've got to do a better job of standing on our blocks for 4 quarters and not just 2 quarters.
Do you think you got away from that more wide open, less conservative thing because you didn't get the receivers, or maybe you thought the running game was better than today?
Yeah, personnel. You know, you got to take your best personnel, and you know, we're going into the season. You know, we had 2 outside receivers that really never played, and you had a tight end that had played in Dowdy, and Nate Cole being your inside receiver. He's not the quick guy like Shaq, and so you got to get your running game going. Your best chance of running the football is having a tight end in the game, whether he's on the line or off the line. We call it 11 personnel. When you go 10 personnel, that means your tight end comes out and you play 4 wide receivers. At the beginning of the year, we're searching for 3 wide receivers, not 4. I mean, and when you go 10 personnel, you can only do 2 or 3 snaps, and then you got to change receivers because of you know, the speed of the game and try to keep guys fresh. Last year we had no problem with that. This year it's been a little bit of a problem because we've had to play some younger guys. You know, Jerron Rollins, Gaddis, guys that never played. Now they've played some, and we've got a better chance of having not as a solid group of first and second teamers we had last year, but more that have a little bit more experience because we played 8 games. So we've got to do it. We've got to play 10 personnel more. We've got to spread it out more. But again, your running game is not as strong without a tight end. Now last year we were probably 35%, what we call 11 personnel with a tight end a game. Last year, this year we're probably 65, 70%. It'll go up and down just depending on what the team's doing on defense. But you do have to run some tight end in the game. Like the team this week plays, they play almost 80% of the tight end in the game. But they'll play them out in a wide receiver spot, move them around, short passing game, those kind of things.
You've won, I'm sorry, UC has won 30 straight non-league home games, dates back to like 2002, 2003. I don't know if you can do that, but is that something that...
Was it, we made 30?
30 straight games at Nipper.
That
UC
had
has
been
won.
conference games, what you're saying?
Non-conference.
Non-conference, yeah.
Like in 14 years, you haven't lost.
Yeah.
Is that
No, it really, I mean,
enter into anything this week?
you know, it probably means something for records and all that, but you asked any player here or coach, you probably wouldn't know that. You know, we just look at the next team as an opportunity to get better, and knowing that, you know, who you're playing, who we played last year we played Miami at home. We probably had a 27 home game winning streak, you know, with non-conference, and you know, we rallied, happened to win that game. So you don't add any more pressure on players as you have to. You just, how you look at a team coming in. Our guys know this team, the team that was our players that played last year, they know what type of game that they're getting into. A very physical game, a team that got a lot of depth. They a little bit different than we see in our conference in terms of offense. So, you know, it was fun going out there last year. It wasn't fun losing, but I thought our guys had a great trip. It's a pretty scenic place for our guys to play the game. Now they have to come here, and hopefully we have the same type of crowd. Their crowd was a huge advantage for them last year. Huge advantage. We had a tough time with the snap count, and with a new quarterback in the game, it was a huge advantage for them.
Is that more wide receivers, more open offense, more suited to Gunner?
More what?
More suited to Gunner, is that play?
Yeah, well, I say it more suited for Hayden than Gunner. I think probably both of them, there's not a lot of difference. Probably not for Ross. You know, he's probably more of what we're doing now, Ross is, because you can run the ball with your quarterback with a tight end in the game more effectively, and he's a little bit more of a runner. But, you know, last year we were a pretty good team with a tight end in the game. You know, there was a game that we went in and we played pretty much all what we call 11 personnel, tight end, one back, and ran the ball and threw play action. There were some games that we said, you know, we're going to spread them out just because of the personnel that we thought we could take advantage of. And that's what you do on offense. Again, you try to match your personnel to theirs and try to get mismatches and try to take advantage of what you think their weaknesses might be. Whether it's 10 personnel, 11, 22, what we saw last week, Temple ran 2 tight ends and 2 backs. I mean, that was different than anything we'd seen.
You have to win 2 more games to become bowl eligible. Is that something you guys talk about at all at this point?
About 2 weeks ago, I think our seniors brought it up a little bit, you know, to the team and their team meeting players. Not really. I mean, again, you start putting more pressure on guys. Everybody knows what's at stake. Everybody knows that, you know, that they want to be in a bowl game. I think we played 6 or 7 years in a row, you know, bowl streak. So, but you start talking about all that, and you start adding things that really doesn't make any difference in the game. And so, but I'm sure, you know, why we're not playing and read papers or internet or whatever, everybody reads, you know, hey, what you got to do, and what, you know, it is what it is. We got 4 games left. We got to do better than what we played, because all the teams we're playing coming up are going to be pretty tough. So we'll try not to add any more pressure. We'll just try to go play, try to get a 4-quarter game like we played at East Carolina. We got to play 4 quarters. We can't shut it down. You know, you know, as a football team, when you're playing somebody else, you try to take the enthusiasm out of the other team. That's the reason home field advantage is a lot easier to keep your enthusiasm than it is when you're on the road. And so you try to take that enthusiasm away from the other team. That's your job as a football team to, you know, get the momentum. And so that's what you try to do, and that's what we'll try to do in this game. Any game that we'll play at the end, we've got to play with more enthusiasm, and we've been doing that. But we've got to play better while we're doing that. We've got to play better football. We've got to play more consistent football.
Can you point to one thing that's been the biggest problem for you this year, or maybe the most disappointing for you?
I knew this was going to be a tough year. I thought we would play a little bit better on offense at this point, I knew with a new offense, it would be a little bit more of a struggle, you know, with mostly new offensive players, new offensive staff. I thought we'd be a little bit better running the ball at this point, you know, with the two running backs. That hasn't happened as consistent. At times we've had good running game, at times we've had none. And so we're just looking for more consistency there. We're not as fast as we were last year. We're not as quick as we were last year.
On both sides?
On offense. On defense, we're better than we've been on defense. And we've been playing against some good offenses. And we've held our own, and we haven't played great. But at most points, we've gotten the ball back, got turnovers, created turnovers to help the offense enough to have a chance to win a few more games. But you know, I take full responsibility for it. You know, since I've been here, you know, I've had to make some tough decisions on guys that were on the team when I got here, and some that I recruited that are not with us no longer. And you know, I'm not going to put athletic ability over, you know, academics, the character of the team, over the university. I'm not going to do that. And so we're suffering a little bit from some guys that are not here. But that's totally my call. I mean, that's what you got to do as a head coach. And so we got a lot of good young guys. Perry Young last week, awesome. I thought that you know, our young defensive end that played the first time he'd ever played really played well. And you know, there's probably some guys we look at now and say, you know, what do we redshirt those guys for? Well, you redshirt them because you build teams. That's how you build a team. Is redshirt players. They probably could have helped on special teams. Maybe a little depth here and there, but unless they're going to play a major factor in your season, you know, that extra year really gives you a leg up.
So you still good about the future then? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Because you're redshirting those guys?
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to do that. I mean, this is our fourth year of it, and we've had a few that's not here, and I'm not blaming on anybody. This team, former players, former coaches, our staff, this all goes on me, because I make those decisions on whether anybody stays on the team or not. And so you don't want to put anything above the university or your athletic program. You got to do it the right way. You know, we're going, these guys in there that are playing for us, they lay it on the line. Now, we've lost 4 games. It hadn't been because they hadn't played hard. And there's some areas that we're not quite as good as we need to be. But we've got a lot of guys coming, So it's all good. You're going to have some downtime. I mean, you're not going to be good every year. It's not going to happen. And it's just, we're at a point right now where we're searching, but really not with a team. We're just got to search for what's going to make us better at this point in time. We know what's going to be better in the future. But right now, this ain't the future. We're trying to win as many games as we can right now. As you said, get to the bowl game.
Is that hamstring going to be something for Zach that just lingers?
Yeah. You could tell last week he was struggling a little bit, but he, you know, if you get a hamstring, we've got about 7, 8 other guys that same way. They're not near as quick or as fast as they were, but you know, you got to give it to them. They're still playing. They're fighting through it. But that happens on every team, though. You know, every team across the country is beat up, banged up. This is a hard sport. I mean, it's brutal. And especially for running backs, DBs, a guy like Zach Edwards, he's all over the field. You know, covering people, tackling running backs. You know, you got to give it to guys that lay it on the line like they do and play in a little bit of pain. And we're not going to put anybody out there that, you know, and injure anybody, play with something that they can't play with. But Zach's been a warrior for us ever since he's been here. He's played pretty much every game he's played since we recruited him our first year.